What is up, everybody? Louis back here again, finally, for UFC 300. Obviously, a huge card. We haven't seen a card this stacked since the comeback card for 2020 during COVID. And there's just too many great fights on this card to name. I'm very excited for the main event, light heavyweight. Jamal Hill coming back from an injury to try to reclaim his title that he actually claimed from somebody falling out because of an injury against Alex Pereira. Pereira, who just legitimized his title against Yuri Procházka. So I'm very intrigued by this fight. You got two heavy hitters. I'm down for it. Co-main event, Zhang Weili taking on Yan Xiaonan. I wish they would have done this fight in China, but I'm hyped for this fight, man. Zhang Weili is an absolute animal. Yan Xiaonan can surprise some people. She's got some power. It should be fun. All China going at it for the title is pretty cool to me. Obviously, you got the BMF fight. It's a dream matchup people have been talking about for years that we didn't think would actually happen. Max Holloway moving up to 155 to take on Justin Gaethje. I mean, my goodness, take my money. And then Charles Oliveira is back, taking on Arman Tsarukyan. 155 is getting very interesting. And then Bo Nickal on the card, you know, cool. And then for me, Aljamain Sterling moving up to 145 to take on Calvin Kattar. Calvin Kattar, huge opportunity for him, man, because he got that injury against Arnold Allen, lost a close one to Josh Emmett. You know, I mean, it's kind of do or die for Calvin Kattar, and it's also do or die for Aljamain Sterling. So I'm very excited. A win for either guy is going to put them in a good position for the title because 145, they need to work some things out on who's going to fight for that title. It is kind of a mess, to be honest with you. And then you got Kayla Harrison making her debut. A lot of people hating on this fight. I'm excited for it. Holly Holm, a tough, grizzled veteran. People are overlooking her, and she's getting disrespected on the odds. So I'm very interested to see that fight. You got Diego Lopes coming back, obviously. And, you know, you got Bobby Green taking on Jim Miller. Just fun. Just a fun fight. Could go either way, I think. And then for the first fight of the night, you got Deiveson Figueiredo at bantamweight taking on Cody Garbrandt. I mean, my goodness. Cody Garbrandt, this is a huge opportunity for him. This will put him right back in the title picture. And Deiveson Figueiredo, if he loses to Cody Garbrandt, I mean, he's got some good momentum off that Rob Font win. A lot of people thought he wouldn't be doing well at bantamweight, so this is a chance to prove everybody wrong. I'm very excited. So let's just get right into it, obviously, because this is probably one of the best. It might be the best card of all time. First fight of the night, 135 pounds, men's bantamweight. Deiveson Figueiredo, the God of War, taking on Cody. No Love Garbrandt. Figueiredo took on Rob Font his last fight in the first round. He gets a blast double off of a step-in cross. He gets pressed forward by Rob. He eats a 1-2 at range, but then he presses forward. He's able to rock him with the lunge overhand right, and then he's looking to rip the body the whole time. He's good. He attacks that body pretty well, something that I like about him. And then he just kind of swings some wide hooks in the pocket. And then in the second round, he gets double underhooks up on the fence, lands some nasty knees. But then he gets pressed back by Font. Font starting to bring the pressure with some straights and a couple blitzes from Font. But he's able to get the snatch single kind of out of nowhere. Rough Font, not the best takedown defense, but, you know, Figgy's got that in his back pocket. Then he lands a jab to a cross, and then followed up with a front kick. Then in the third round, he throws a right cross, and he's able to rock him with a follow-up left hook. But then he walks into some hooks going into the pocket. But then he's able to get that snatch single and secure the round. So he's got, you know, he's a pretty diverse fighter. Cody Garbrandt took on Brian Kelleher his last fight. Kind of a gimme fight. But first round, he circles along the outside. He lands a lunge, short left hook. Hurts him pretty bad. But then he's able to stuff the double up against the fence and kind of swings a wild hook flurry. That's what Cody loves to do. And then he lands a hook and then an uppercut blitz. Just kind of goes off on him. And then he lands an overhand right whenever Kelleher presses forward. But then he lands a right hook off of Kelleher's knee and gets a vicious knockout. Cody Garbrandt plus 250. Deiveson Figueiredo minus 310. Yeah, man, I think Figueiredo is going to knock Cody Garbrandt's head off. With that being said, Cody Garbrandt could potentially knock Figueiredo's head off, but I think Figueiredo has a little bit better of a chin, especially coming up from 125 to 135. It's only going to help his chin. It's definitely not going to hurt it. And Cody Garbrandt, you know, I mean, he looked terrible against Trevin Jones. Brian Kelleher, no offense to Brian Kelleher, but Cody Garbrandt's in a different class than him. And You know, Cody Garbrandt, just not good ring IQ. Deiveson Figueiredo, if anything, his ring IQ has gotten better moving up to 135. I don't, you know, the odds are okay, I guess. I could see Cody Garbrandt getting a big knockout to start off UFC 300, shocking everybody, but I'm going to stick with Deiveson Figueiredo here. Cody Garbrandt does have probably the advantage in the wrestling, but, you know, I just think it's going to be a stand-up fight. I don't think either guy's going to be able to take each other down, and I think Figueiredo is going to at least be able to use the wrestling as a threat. So minus 310, I'm going to go with Figgy. Second fight of the night, 155 pounds, men's lightweight, Bobby King Green taking on Jim effing Miller. I mean, this is just a fun fight here. Bobby Green needs a win. Jim Miller, you know, he's coming off a win. So he's just chilling, doing his thing, has the most wins of all time. But, you know, Bobby Green, we're going to, you know, he's got a lot to prove in this fight. He looked really good against Grant Dawson, obviously. And then Jalen Turner, you know, he took way too many shots to the head he shouldn't have. So that's unfortunate. So we're gonna learn a lot about Bobby Green. And, you know, Jim Miller gets to have his moment in the sun, fighting at all 100 UFCs. Bobby Green took on Jalen Turner his last fight. Relatively short notice. In the first round, he walks into some hooks with his hands down, because that's what he does. But, yeah, Jalen Turner hits hard, but then he walks into a left cross, but then he's able to sidestep, lands an overhand left looping shot, but then eats a right cross and gets knocked out. But it wasn't just a knockout. He gets dropped, and Jalen Turner has his back and keeps punching him in the face until he's dead almost. So that was horrible. And then before that, against Grant Dawson, first round, he just backs up. And then he lands a straight left off of a step in by Grant Dawson and gets a KO. So, yeah. Didn't even have to use his wrestling defense on that one. And Grant Dawson is a mother effer on the back. Didn't even get there. So Bobby Green's got power. You know, don't be fooled. Jim Miller took on Gabriel Benitez his last fight. In the first round, he lands a right hook and a jab in the pocket. But then he lands a straight blitz. Goes right into some tie clinch, lands some knees to the head and the body. Then in the second round, he lands some left hooks and some uppercuts to the head and the body. With some side leg kicks in the pocket. Then he gets a blast double, shoots a blast double, is able to stop the armbar attempt, and then he gets the back, gets a figure four. Then in the third round, he eats some straights whenever he's trying to enter the pocket. But he throws a 1-2, he lands some leg kicks, and he gets a blast double right in the half guard. He's able to take the back whenever he's given the opportunity, and gets ready to choke submission. Benitez was just worn out, and Jim Miller's tough. Jim Miller plus 155, Bobby Green minus 185. Yeah, I think this could be either person's fight. Jim Miller, you know, he does, he's interesting because he performs his best in the first couple rounds, but he has cardio for the third. Bobby Green, we know, has got cardio all three. Bobby Green sometimes takes a long time to get going. I think it's going to come down to the wrestling here. I think if Jim Miller, I think he'll be able to get Bobby Green down. But even if he can't, I think Jim Miller is going to be able to use it as a threat enough to keep Bobby Green on his guard, and I think he's going to be able to set up some of his striking, and, you know, they're just going to brawl, and, you know, Jim Miller, I think, hits a little harder than Bobby Green, so we'll see, but if, you know, Jim Miller can get the takedowns, Bobby Green's able to keep it at reins and jab his face off, that's what, you know, Bobby Green's going to win, but, you know, a little bit of an underdog, plus 155, I'm going to go with Jim Miller. Third fight of the night, 115 pounds, women's strawweight, Jessica Andrade taking on Marina Rodriguez. Jessica Andrade fell off pretty hard. Now she's on a little bit of a come-up. Let's see if she can keep that momentum going. Andrade took on Mackenzie Dern her last fight. Needed this one in the first round. She's able to stuff the headlock attempt. She eats a straight blitz, but then she lands a nice short counter hook. And then she catches a kick, and then she drops her with the right hook, and she's able to cut her off on the fence. Stop the movement of Dern. Then in the second round, she walks into some looping overhands, but then she drops her with an overhand left collar whenever she has a left overhand collar tie. And then she gets rocked. She rocks her with the overhand right and followed up with a 1-2, but then she drops her with the counter left hook. But then she lands a left hook and then a straight right knockout because Mackenzie Dern just doesn't defend herself when she's striking. So, but yeah, Jessica Andrade knocked her out. She can still eat some punches. Marina Rodriguez took on Michelle Waterson her last fight in the first round. She gets taken down with a knee tap. Nothing happened though. And then she lands some knees to the head in the tie clinch. Then she follows up with some elbows up against the fence. And then she's able to land a right cross. Follows up with some knees to the head. Then in the second round, she gets a tie clinch to the fence. Lands some more knees to the body. She's able to stuff the body lock attempt and just kind of hip into her. And then gets them out. Nasty elbows. Gets a TKO. So, Marina, you know, Michelle Waterson's tough. You know, she's not quite at her level, but she's tough. And, you know, Marina Rodriguez doesn't finish a lot of people. She finished Michelle Waterson. So maybe there's a fire lit under her now. Marina Rodriguez plus 120. Jessica Andrade minus 140. Close fight. High-level women's MMA, but still, I'm going to go with the slight underdog, Marina Rodriguez. I just think she might be able to keep range and might be able to eke out a 3-round decision if she can avoid the big shots of Andrade. Fourth fight of the night, 155 pounds, men's lightweight. Obviously another banger. Can't say that about every... I mean, all the fights are bangers, but I'm not going to announce every fight. But I'm interested in seeing Jalen Turner fight, see if he can come back from his loss. Jalen the Tarantula Turner taking on Renato Money Moicano. Should be a fun one. Jalen Turner took on Bobby Green his last fight. In the first round, he eats a lunge right. But he's able to land a left and a right hook whenever he gets pressed. And then he lands a left cross, follows it up with a nice jab. He lands a jab and then a right cross, follows up with a 1-2. Knocks Bobby Green out, jumps on top of him, and punches him some more. Then, before that, he took on Dan Hooker. And it was a really close back and forth fight in the first round. He was sliding with that jab, follows up with a cross, and he's landing some leg and body kicks at range, but then he eats a head kick, but then he lands a left jab to the body and then a right hook to the head. It was looking pretty good, but, you know, he swings for the fences, and by the end of the fight, Dan Hooker is a dog, and he could take a lot of it, most of all of his punches. And Jalen Turner is a little big gassed. Renato Moicano took on Drew Dober's last fight. This was off of a layoff from injury. In the first round, he walks into some straight lefts, but then he gets a single to the body lock right in the half guard. Then in the second round, he eats a hook, but then he gets a body lock trip right in a half guard. And then he keeps the lock when he's on the feet, and he's able to get mat returns. He gets one leg in to take the back, but then he loses the position, and then Dober escapes. And then Renato gets lat dropped. Then he eats some heavy ground and pound from Drew Dober. He gets split open pretty bad. And then in the third round, he eats a right hook and then a 1-2. But then he's able to get that body lock trip takedown to kind of ride out the fight. Not the best performance from him, but, you know, what injury layoff and Drew Dober is no punk. Renato Moicano plus 195. Jalen Turner minus 240. Yeah, story of this fight's going to be the wrestling. Jalen Turner against... He does have some decent wrestling defense in the past. Forget the guy's name. But, yeah, I mean, he can stuff takedowns to a certain point, but he kind of makes some low IQ mistakes where he's overexposing himself and overextending himself against Gamrot. That's who it was. And he was able to get out of danger, but he chose to kind of walk right into some of those takedowns, or he would throw a kick or something like that and give Gamrot the easy opportunity for a takedown. But, you know, Moicano's more of going to take him down from the clinch and then the trip. So I think Jalen Turner can avoid that because he likes to fight at length anyway. And Moicano, it's all about if he can get the takedown. Moicano can get in there and scrap, but I think Turner hits harder, man. But Moicano can take a lot of punishment. We saw that against RDA. He went all 5 rounds with RDA on short notice. Took a beating. But Turner hits a little bit harder than RDA, so it should be interesting. But the odds is what makes it interesting. Plus 195 for Renato Moicano. How's Jalen Turner look in the third round? You know, I think Jalen Turner might just jab him up the whole fight, but plus 195 is juicy. Renato Moicano is on a roll, kind of. Plus 195, I'm going to go with Renato Moicano. We'll see what happens. I like betting the underdogs on these fights. Fifth fight night, 145 pounds, men's featherweight. Sadiq Super Youssef taking on Diego Emo Boy Lopes. Should be a fun fight. Sadiq Youssef, disappointing performance against Barboza. Tried to knock him out in the first round, couldn't get it done. Diego Lopes is just on a tear. But now he's getting a step up and trying to enter the rankings. Youssef took on Edson Barboza's last fight in a 5-round main event. In the first round, he lands a right hook inside the pocket, and then he lands an overhand right, and then a left hook, drops him with the overhand right up against the fence. Then he gets a body lock trip off the fence, and he was swinging for the fences, but he couldn't knock Barboza out because Barboza's tough. Second round, he lands some overhand rights from the collar tie position, but then he gets pressured back, and he eats a right cross. He eats a left hook to the body whenever he's moving forward on him. Then in the third round, he gets pressed to the fence, and he eats a right hook to the body and then a left to the head. He eats a left to the body and some left hooks to the body and a couple at a time. He was getting pieced up from there, starting to get a little bit tired. But then he eats a jab and an uppercut combo, standing at range, and then he gets dropped with a spinning wheel kick. So, yeah, man. And then fourth and fifth round, he just was slow, tired. He used all of his energy in the first couple rounds. Then Diego Lopes took on Pat Sabatini his last fight. In the first round, he gets clipped with a right cross off of his jab, but then he's able to stuff the double leg attempts with it, lands a knee and an overhand right, and he's able to stuff with an overhook, and then he lands some uppercuts, rocks him with the overhand right, and then just ground and pound TKOs him. And then before that, he took on Gavin Tucker. In the first round, he pulls for the triangle off of a single attempt, and then he gets an armbar, roll through, and breaks the guy's arm, basically. So, you know, Diego came onto the scene. I'm bad with names today, forgive me. He came onto the scene last May on short notice. Whenever he fought Evloev, that's who it was, and he kept getting taken down, but he was able to land some big shots on Evloev, and he almost had a knee bar and an arm bar on Evloev. I mean, you can't extend somebody's limb as far as he did. I don't know how Evloev didn't tap. So, a lot of hype on this guy. Diego Lopes minus 140, Sodiq Yusuff plus 120. Yeah, this might be a coin flip type of fight here. You know, they both got power. I think Sodiq Yusuff is the more technical striker. And, you know, Sodiq can wrestle. Diego Lopes, not really a takedown getter. Your guess is as good as mine. I think Diego Lopes just brings that crazy factor. And minus 140, I think he could catch him in submission at any time. He's very dangerous. But Sodiq Yusuff needs this win. I think he's probably going to get better, learn a lot from the Barboza fight. It's a tough one, but you know what? I want to have some fun. I want to see Diego Lopes succeed. Minus 140, I'm going to go with Diego Lopes. Sixth fight of the night, 135 pounds, women's bantamweight, Holly Holm, the preacher's daughter, taking on Kayla Harrison. Harrison making her debut from PFL. Highly anticipated matchup. Nobody thought Kayla Harrison could make 145, let alone 135, so she made, you know, that's going to be a tough cut for her. We'll see. But, yeah, man, I'm actually excited for this fight. A lot of people overlooking Holly Holm on this one. Holly Holm is a dog. Like, she got submitted. She got caught by Mayra Silva, but, you know, she got her revenge against Santos. So, I'm excited for this fight. Holly Holm took on Yana Santos her last fight. In the first round, she reverses the clinch up against the fence. She lands some lunge overhand lefts, and she gets an underhook into the clinch whenever she gets pressed. But then she lands a lunge left, and then she's able to catch a kick, get a takedown. And, you know, look at Holly Holm, the professional boxer, wrestling and clinching and getting the takedowns. Then in the second round, she rushes with a short right, and then she gets a body lock trip right into side control. And then she keeps control of the head and arm. She lands some elbows, and then she's going for the crucifix. You know, she's working for the finish. Then in the third round, she gets it over under to the fence, and then she slips. She's able to slip the blitz of Santos, and she gets double unders and gets a trip. And she tries to go for the rear naked choke and doesn't have her hooks in or anything. Doesn't really get it, not really her thing. But then she gets some half guard ground and pound, and then she keeps the clinch standing, and she's on her like water on bread. Kayla Harrison took on Aspen Ladd last fight in PFL. In the first round, she's able to duck under the hook, and then she gets a body lock lift, and she looks for the full mount opportunity, but she lands some ground and pound and full guard. Then she's able to take her back with one hook up against the fence. Then in the second round, she lands an overhand left, and then a right, and then she shoots a single, gets the bow step right into side control, and then she's able to get go for an arm triangle attempt from guard. And then in the third round, she lands a lunge straight left from range, and she's able to get shoots a blast double whenever Ladd pressures her. And she gives up her back, but she reverses right into half guard, lands some ground and pound to make up for it. And then she gets around the back whenever she's standing, kind of lands some knees and kind of rides it out. So, you know, decent performance. Kayla Harrison minus 455, Holly Holm plus 350. Yeah, these odds are just absolutely ridiculous. Holly Holm can crack hard, and, you know, Holly Holm, she wrestles and clinches herself. I mean, you know, I don't think, you know, she can. I think she has opportunity. She can stop Kayla Harrison's takedown attempts. I think it's plausible. And who's got better striking? Holly Holm plus 350. Very disrespectful. I'm going to go with Holly Holm. Co-main event of the prelims, 145 pounds, men's featherweight. Very excited for this fight. Calvin Kattar coming back off a long injury layoff, taking on Aljamain the Funkmaster Sterling. Sterling obviously got knocked out by Sean O'Malley. Moving up to 145 to give it a go at 145. He'll be talking about for a little bit. He's finally doing it. Calvin Kattar, not the highest ranked opponent, but a good test for him. If he can beat Calvin Kattar, It's a good springboard. He'll probably get title eliminator next. And if he can't beat Calvin Kattar, then he's probably done. And Calvin Kattar, if you lose to Aljamain Sterling, not the end of the world. But, you know, it's not a good look for him. You know, but each guy needs a win here. Can say that. But a big opportunity for either guy. Calvin Kattar took on Arnold Allen in his last fight a while ago. In the first round, he jabs from range, and he jabs, followed up with an overhand right. But then he gets pressed, and he eats a left cross when he's backing out of range. But he eats a 1-2 off of a right cross, then a hook flurry. But he gets pressed with some left crosses, and then he has that weird foot injury. He just lands on it wrong. He finishes out the round. Arnold Allen pulls a Dars. And then the second round, he gets leg kicked and just falls over. So it was, you know, due to injury, unfortunate. But, yeah, only won one round, so you can't really be too sure what would have happened. But, you know, he was losing. Aljamain Sterling took on Sean O'Malley's last fight at 135. In the first round, he chases him and kind of like sidesteps and looks for some hooks, but then he eats some front kicks and jabs on his way in, and then he like moves side to side, circles side to side, and then he cuts off the cage, shoots the single to the fence, can't finish. Then in the second round, he gets an underhook and a single to the fence off of O'Malley's kick. He does it right away this time, basically. But then he chases him, and then he eats a teep and a lunge overhand left, and then he gets dropped with the right cross because he just freaking blitzes at him for some reason. And he eats a bunch of ground and pound, and he gets TKO'd. Could have kept going, but I don't know how it would have ended. Aljamain Sterling minus 175, Calvin Kattar plus 145. Very intriguing matchup. I've been an Aljamain fan. I bet on him on every fight. Actually, I took Sean O'Malley's last fight because I thought he was going to win, but I was rooting for Aljo. And, you know, he looks good. He looks okay at 145. And Calvin Kattar coming off an injury layoff. He's not the toughest guy in the division, but it's a good measure as to where Aljamain's at. Can Calvin Kattar stop the wrestling? Possibly, because he's bigger. Aljamain, like, sometimes he doesn't get his wrestling going, or sometimes it's really hard for him to take him down. He did take Henry Cejudo down, so I don't know. But, like, whenever he shoots, it's, like, kind of labored. But, you know, Aljamain could definitely just take him down and get his back all 3 rounds. Calvin Kattar could light him up on the feet. You know, Calvin Kattar hits hard. He can take a lot of punishment. Whew, it's a good one. Good one. But the fan in me, minus 175, not too bad of odds. I'm going to go with Aljamain. I think he takes him down and backpacks him, dude. I hope so. We'll see, man. Main event of the prelims, 205 pounds, men's light heavyweight. Jiri Procházka taking on Alexander Rakic. Rakic coming off a long layoff due to injury. This is interesting because the main event's at 205, so it's kind of relevant. If it's a big setup fight for Rakic, if he wins, he might be next up. I don't know what they're going to do with Magomed, though. 205 is kind of a mess, but it's trying to work itself out. But, yeah, I'm excited, and we'll see where Jiri is. If Jiri, you know, gets rolled over again, then he might, you know, might be it for him, unfortunately. But we'll see. Could be. I think it's going to be really fun because Yuri's never in a boring fight. Rakic, though, we'll see. Procházka took on Alex Perez last fight for the title in the first round off a layoff. He clips him with some step-in uppercut, but then he gets dropped with a leg kick, but then he's able to duck under the inline just straight to the body, shoots a single to the fence, but then he gets caught in a guillotine, but then he's able to lift the single up, take him down, and gets in a half guard. Doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but, you know, he's being smart. Second round, he dips into a head kick, but then he eats some leg kicks standing out range. But then he lands a lead left hook in the pocket. And then he turns and lands an overhand right. But then he slips the cross. He lands left and right hooks up against the fence. And then he lands some double jabs and a right cross. But then he gets dropped with a left hook. But so then he shoots for the single out of desperation. And then he just gets TKO'd with elbows. Did he get stopped too early? Maybe. Alexander Rakic took on Jan Blachowicz last fight 2 years ago at this point. In the first round, he gets pressed with some body hooks from range, but then he eats some leg kicks in return. And he eats some leg kicks, but then he's able to return them. Not a whole lot happened. And then in the second round, he gets the single leg takedown, and he avoids the arm bar / triangle threats and lands some ground and pound. Not a lot. Then in the third round, he gets pressed with a jab and a left hook to the body, but then he experiences some leg injury. So, I don't know, man. I thought he was winning the fight, but there was 3 more rounds to go, so like 2.5. But, yeah. I don't know, man. Very weird fight. Rakic minus 120, Procházka minus 100. Even money, basically. I don't think Rakic hits that hard. I think Yuri's okay. I think Jiri is going to, you know, I think Yuri can defend a takedown. Yuri's been wrestling himself. So I think Yuri is going to overwhelm Rakic. I think he's going to hurt him. And Yuri Procházka isn't as crazy as people think. He's beginning a little more intelligent. So minus 100, Yuri Procházka, I'm going to take it. I think he can make it a crazy fight. I think he could hurt Rakic. I'm going to go with Yuri. First fight of the main card, 185 pounds, men's middleweight. Bo Nickal taking on Cody Brundage. Let's get this out of the way. It doesn't belong on the main card. They did it for a certain reason. Whatever. I'm just glad to see Bo Nickal fight again because he hasn't fought since July. And if you need experience, I mean, I think he should be fighting a little more frequently, but it is what it is. But Cody Brundage, you know, not very good, but very dangerous in the first round. Very dangerous. So we'll see. Bo Nickal took on Jimmy Pickett his last fight. He took on Val Woodburn, but, you know, what are you going to talk about that fight? First round against Pickett, he gets underhooked to the fence. Then he gets a hip toss off the fence into the front headlock, and then he's able to take the back, gets both hooks in. Quick rear naked choke attempt. Then he's able to transition to an arm triangle for mount, and then he's squeezing, finally gets out to the side a little bit and gets a submission. So, did he hit him in the nuts? Maybe. And then Cody Brundage took on his last fight. He picks up the guy and slams him from an armbar attempt and knocks him out. So, yeah, Cody Brundage is dangerous. But before that, he took on Jake Malkoon. Jake Malkoon, a little bit more of a wrestler like Bo Nickal. In the first round, he lands an overhand and then gets a double. And then he tries to take the back, but then he loses position because he kind of rushed it. But then he gets taken out the single when he gives up his back. And Malkoon gets the hook in, and then he eats a lot of ground and pound, but he ate some elbows to the back of the head, and he wins via disqualification. So, what are you going to do? Cody Brundage plus 850, Bo Nickal minus 1450. Yeah, I mean, go ahead and put some money on Cody Brundage. He could knock him out in the first round, but if it gets out of the first round, Bo Nickal's definitely winning. Bo Nickal could very well win in the first round, too. You know, Cody Brundage isn't taking Bo Nickal down. Bo Nickal might not even try to take Cody Brundage down, but Cody Brundage could submit Bo Nickal, but that's probably about to be it. Either that or knock him out, you know, if they get into a scrap. Cody Brundage just doesn't have good ring IQ. Like Rodolfo Vieira, he had him hurt really bad, then he pulls guillotine for some reason, so he could ruin it for himself. Cody Brundage very well could knock Bo Nickal out. We don't know how Bo Nickal's chin is yet. I just have a feeling it's going to be good, or we're not. I have a feeling he's not going to get hit. I don't know. Bo Nickal just gives off that type of vibe. So, you know, bet on Cody Brundage, but my pick is Bo Nickal. And if you want a specific bet, I would say, okay, specific bet, I would say, you know, you're looking at the first round. Does it go over or under the first round? Plus, so over 1.5 rounds plus 240. Bet that one. It's a good deal. But yeah. I'm going to go with Bo Nickal, obviously. Second fight on the pay-per-view, 155 pounds, men's lightweight. Charles do Bronx Oliveira taking on Arman Tsarukyan. Fun one. I thought Oliveira was going to get a title shot. He got injured, couldn't take the fight. Now he's taking a little bit of a step back, it seems like. But if he beats Arman Tsarukyan, he's definitely getting a title shot. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Again, 155 is wild right now. We'll see what happens. And then you got to see what happens in the BMF fight. So, you know, we'll see. But, you know, interesting fight. Arman Tsarukyan on the come up here. Has a lot of momentum. Should be fun, man. Charles Oliveira took on Beneil Dariush's last fight. In the first round, he lands a right cross. Gets an over-under body lock. Trip takedown. He tries to go for the trip, but then he doesn't get it. He pulls guard. And he tries to go for a leg lock, but he eats a lot of ground and pound. But that's what he does. Then he's able to stand up. And then he breaks the clinch. Lands a nice right cross. Follows it up with a head kick. Rocks him with that nasty-ass head kick. And then he lands an overhand right, and he's able to stuff the shot attempt. Gets right into half guard. Lands some vicious ground and pound. Knocks him out. Doesn't TKO him, knocks him out. Unfortunate. I like Beneil, but Charles Oliveira just has that it factor, man. And he looks good. He's back, baby. Arman Tsarukyan took on Beneil Dariush's last fight. And unfortunately, you know, Beneil's chin is gone, I would say, unfortunately. In the first round, he backs up and he lands some jabs, but then he eats an overhand left. But then he lands a right hook and then lands a knee to the head and knocks him out. So that fight barely even got going. Before that, he took on Joaquim Silva. In the first round, he catches a kick. He gets a double into full guard, some nice ground and pound, not a lot. And then he takes the back, gets one hook in, lands some nasty ground and pound. Actually, no, it was a lot of ground and pound. Yeah, he was really picking up the ground and pound, being more vicious, so I like that. And then, you know, he did get hurt pretty bad in the second round, but he was able to recover, so that can happen. Now, if Oliveira hurts him, I think Oliveira is going to have better finishing instincts, but, you know, so I trust Tsarukyan to be able to recover. Armin Tsarukyan minus 220, Charles Oliveira plus 180. Are you kidding me, dude? I'm not betting Armin Tsarukyan minus 220 for what? Because he's going to take him down and he's going to ground and pound him? Dude, Charles Oliveira, man. Okay, Armin, take him down. Charles Oliveira is going to throw 1,000 submissions at you. And it's not going to be as easy as you think, man. Charles Oliveira is long. He's rangy. He hits hard. I mean, this line is extremely disrespectful. I'm double-checking this line just to make sure it's correct. Yep, it is. I don't get this one, man. Charles, by the way, Armin Tsarukyan beat Beneil after Charles beat him. So, yeah. I could see, you know, I mean, he might be able to take Armin or Charles down, but Charles is tricky, man. It's not going to be easy. You're going to have a hard time with it. I think it's probably stay on the feet. And Charles Oliveira is very unorthodox. He's got kicks coming. Armin Tsarukyan, kind of more like a brawler. Kind of circles on the outside. So, and the brawler, he'll probably try to land some jabs on him, but Charles Oliveira is going to be coming right towards him, so we'll see. Armin Tsarukyan might catch Charles Oliveira coming in, but yeah, dude. Charles Oliveira, he's just got the it factor. Plus 180. I'm going with Charles Oliveira, dude. I can't believe his line. Feature fight of the pay-per-view, 155 pounds, men's lightweight, the BMF title fight. Justin, the highlight, Gaethje taking on Max Bless Holloway. Max Holloway coming up for 145. Again, but he's been talking about coming up and fighting Justin Gaethje. There's been rumblings, and they're finally doing it for the BMF title. I mean, yes, sign me up. What is happening at 155? All hell is broken loose, and I'm here for it. Justin Gaethje took on Dustin Poirier his last fight in the BMF belt. Justin Gaethje is defending the BMF belt. In the first round, he feints some jabs. He lands a left hook whenever he gets pressed. He's able to land an overhand right, and then a left hook to the body, and then a left to the head. And then he lands some leg kicks, but then he kind of dips into a head kick. But then he lands a left head kick whenever he gets pressed. But then he gets pressed by Poirier. He eats some jabs and a cross. And then he eats a left hook to the body. But then he fires back with some overhands and kind of circles out of danger. He lands a nice stiff step-in jab. You know, Justin Gaethje throwing jabs is good. But then he eats a right hook over top of his jab. And they kind of get into a little scrap. But, you know, they just like him and Dustin like the brawl. And then in the second round, he lands a right head kick off of a step-in jab from Poirier and knocks him clean out. So, you know, he landed the head kick a couple of times in the first round, but it wasn't flush. But, yeah, dude, he landed that, and nobody was expecting that. Justin Gaethje throwing head kicks is scary. Max Holloway took on Korean Zombie his last fight. In the first round, he presses with some lunge jabs, but then he eats a jab whenever he's stepping in, and then he gets pressed with some wild hooks. But then he's able to rock him with a counter left hook. Then he rips and clips him with the left hook. Sorry about that. Anyway. And then he presses forward with the 1-2, but then he eats a lunge jab whenever he's backing out of range. Then eats a press right hook, gets pressed with a right hook off of his jab. It was, you know, pretty good back and forth first round. But then in the second round, he lands a jab to the body, and then he drops him with the right cross. But then he rolls for the anaconda choke. Then he gets pressed with an overhand right, and he lands a left hook at range. Then he's able to cut off the cage. He lands a left hook, followed up with a straight right. Then he lands a lunge right hook to the body, lunge right, straight right to the body. But then he eats a left hook whenever he's coming up. And he kind of sticks his chin out there. But then he lands a right hook to the body, follows up to the head. And then he lands a right body kick, kind of staying at range, kind of pouring on the pressure a little bit. And then in the third round, he gets pressed with some hooks up against the fence. But then he's able to back out, throws some overhands on his way out. But then he backs up with an overhand, lands overhand right off of Zombie's hook. Blitz, Zombie just runs right at him, going crazy. And he gets a vicious knockout, man. It was perfect. Overhand, bow, knocks him clean out. So, obviously, Max Holloway, higher level than Korean Zombie. But, you know, Korean Zombie, you know, he made a good showing for himself in that fight. So, Max Holloway plus 130. Justin Gaethje minus 155. Good luck picking this fight. I have no clue. I could see Max Holloway piecing him up for 5 rounds. I could see you can't knock Max Holloway out, I guess. Justin Gaethje can go 5 rounds. So, I don't know. But I like Justin Gaethje for some reason. I also like Max Holloway, but Max Holloway, I just don't think he's going to have the power to stop Justin, unfortunately. And Justin Gaethje, I think he'll be able to keep him off of him with some big stinging shots. And Max Holloway, you know, Justin Gaethje can wrestle if he has to. Max Holloway doesn't wrestle. I mean, just pick one, honestly. Minus 155. I'm going to go with Justin Gaethje. Come in event of the evening, 115 pounds, women's strawweight, all China title fight. I think that's really cool. Zhang Weili taking on Yan Xiaonan. Yan Xiaonan coming off that big win against Jessica Andrade, but that was in May. So, you know, Jessica Andrade has gone on to beat Mackenzie Dern then, so that's good for her stock. And Zhang Weili coming off one-sided 5-round affair with Amanda Lemos. But, yeah, I'm excited. Should be fun. Zhang Weili took on Amanda Lemos her last fight in the first round. She lands a leg kick, and then she's able to get a takedown trip into side control right in a half guard, some nasty ground pound. She gets caught in a darce, but then she's able to take her back, land some nasty ground pound. She makes her pay for it. Then in the second round, she misses a left hook, and then she eats a right cross. But then she gets a body lock trip off of a wild hook that Lemos throws. And then she gets in a half guard, and she takes her back, gets both hooks in. Then in the third round, she lands an overhook to a single right into side control, is able to take the back. More or less the same. Amanda Lemos did catch her in some submissions and land a couple good shots on her throughout the 4th and 5th round. But, you know, Weili was able to survive. And Weili kept taking her down and putting a beating on her, basically. Yan Xiaonan took on Jessica Andrade her last fight. In the first round, she backs up, lands some jabs, some body and some leg kicks. Jabs the body, and she follows up with some leg kicks whenever Andrade is rushing towards her. But then she eats some odd hooks in the pocket, but she's able to land some counter right crosses. And then she backs out of the range of hooks. Jessica Andrade just keeps throwing left hooks at her, and then she lands a counter right hook, gets a KO. So, yeah, man. Actually, technically, it was TKO, I guess. People thought it would stop too early, but, you know, she dropped Andrade pretty hard, so I think it would have ended that way anyway. But, you know, Yan Xiaonan plus 380, Zhang Weili minus 500. I think Yan Xiaonan, she can defend. So she was able to survive the submissions against Mackenzie Dern, but she did get taken down for a few rounds. She was just able to survive the submission attempts. Takedown defense isn't great. Carla Esparza still took her down and beat her up. You know, but she does have power, which people didn't necessarily realize. So that's something. Zhang Weili did get knocked out by Rose. But, you know, Zhang Weili's not, you know, her wrestling's got a lot better. She's not always been a wrestler. So, you know, Zhang Weili might try to strike with her for some reason. Probably not. Probably Zhang's probably going to try to take her down a lot. And Yan, you know, maybe she got better in her wrestling defense. You know, I think Yan's going to need a knockout probably. But something tells me, like, Yan's going to surprise a lot of people. Because, like, nobody's talking about this fight, which is always concerning. Plus 380. I love Zhang. I don't want to bet against her. But plus 380 for a women's fight, even though it's high level for a title. I just don't know if I like Zhang minus 500. Plus 380, I'm going to go with Yan Xiaonan. Why not? Maybe something crazy will happen. We'll see. Probably not. Main event of the evening, 205 pounds, men's light heavyweight. Alex Pereira taking on Jamal Sweet Dreams Hill. Jamal Hill is coming to reclaim the title that he never lost inside the octagon. Alex Pereira is trying to legitimize himself at 205 and really etch his name in the history of UFC. It should be interesting. 205 is a mess. Alex Pereira beat Yuri Procházka for the title. Yuri Procházka was the original rightful champion. He got hurt. Then Glover and Jamal fought for it. Jamal had the title, which he was still not fully legitimate. Then he gets injured and he has to give it up. So, oh, and then there is Yan and Magomed, that fight ended in a draw. So it's just too complicated to get into right now. But yeah, but basically the winner of this fight is going to be the legit 205 champion. I'm going to go ahead and say that, even though Jamal wouldn't have beaten Yuri. But, you know, we got to move on at some point. So, very interesting fight. Jamal Hill batted Achilles tear around August, I believe. So, you know, it's kind of a big ask for him to come back and fight in a title fight. But we'll see what happens, man. 205 is wild. Alex Pereira took on Yuri Procházka's last fight in the first round. He backs out of the uppercut. Backs out of the range of uppercuts, kind of gets clipped with an uppercut, but he's able to land some leg kicks, but then he misses a right cross, and he gets singled to the fence, but then he's able to get the guillotine, but then he gets taken down anyway, but he's okay, he can survive down there, even though Yuri's not a great wrestler, but neither is Jamal. And then in the second round, he gets pressed back with some teeps, he lands a jab at range, but then he eats an overhand off of his jab, and then he eats some overhands up against the fence, kind of gets cornered, and, you know, he kind of eats some shots there, kind of looked a little frozen, but he's able to land a check left off the clinch attempt by Yuri. But then he gets pressed with some straight rights. But then he's able to drop him with the right hook. He's able to stuff the single leg, land a bunch of elbows. TKO. Did he get stopped early? Sure. But, you know, it was close enough. And then Jamal Hill took on Glover Teixeira, his last fight, for the vacant title. In the first round, he breaks the body lock and lands some knees to the body. And then he lands a right cross and some jabs at range, trying to get into the pocket there. But then he lands a right uppercut to the body and then a 1-2 in the pocket. But then he gets clipped with some hooks off of his jab inside the pocket. And then in the second round, he rocks him with left head kicks at range. And he lands some overhands and some jabs and some uppercuts up against the fence. Just kind of pours a flurry on in one moment. Then we'll just kind of back off. And then eats some hooks from the collar tie. And then he kind of backs away from there and realizes he doesn't want to be there with Glover. He doesn't want to get taken down. But then he gets taken down with the snatch single from range, and he gives up his back. But then he's able to get his back to the mat, not give Glover his back. Smart move, Jamal. And then he's able to get to the fence, work his way up. Good news, even though Pierre's not really a wrestler. But, you know, in the third round, he lands some touch jabs from range and then a right cross. But then he eats a couple jabs in return. But then he's able to drop him with a left head kick. And then he lands some 1-2s. And then he lands a knee to the head. Then in the fourth round, he stops his shot, lands a knee to the head. And then he lands a big 1-2, lands some touch jabs, 1-2, kind of presses forward. And it's kind of more the same for rounds 4 or 5. Basically, the story of that fight, Jamal Hill did such a good job with the takedown defense. Like, he would just get his leg back. He just made sure he was perfect space amount away from Glover when he tried to take him down. And he would just get all the way out of there. He didn't have to, like, use a wizard too much or battle in the clinch too much. Like, he was not having any part of those takedowns. And smart move. And Jamal was able to just piece him up, man. Jamal's a lot faster. And, you know, he hits pretty hard. And Glover can take a lot of damage. So, that was a great performance from Jamal Hill. Jamal plus 115, Alex Pereira minus 135. Again, coin flip this one. Jamal Hill, is he 100% from surgery? Probably not. Almost definitely not. But, you know, maybe it's enough. Alex Pereira, you know, is he knocked him out? His chin can be suspect at times. I think his chin gets better going up to 205, but you never really know. And, you know, Pereira's not going to wrestle. Jamal Hill's probably not going to wrestle. Maybe Jamal Hill will wrestle a little bit, but, you know, he's never done it, so. It's going to be the leg kicks are going to be a big factor. I think Jamal Hill's aware of that. Jamal Hill likes to kick also, so I just think it's going to be a good scrap back and forth. I don't see it going very long, but for some reason, I think this fight's going to go all 5 rounds. For some reason. I don't know why. So, the over 1.5, yeah, never mind. Over 1.5 minus 210 if you want that one. But, you know, I think it could be a grueling back and forth fight, honestly. And I think it might be a lot closer than people get it credit for. And I think both guys will have their moments in this fight, honestly. So, yeah. Not exactly sure if it's going to be a decision. But, Jamal Hill by decision for the heck of it is plus 650. So, I don't know. But yeah, I'm going to go with Jamal Hill. I just always had a feeling about him. And I think he's going to be able to get his title back. I think 205 is crazy enough where you could come off of an Achilles tear, Achilles surgery, and be okay. And, like, get a big knockout victory. Something like that. But yeah, just should be an interesting fight. Honestly, flip a coin. Jamal Hill plus 115. I'm going to go with slight underdog. I got Jamal Hill. All right, everybody. Thanks for riding with me. I appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, all that stuff. Leave a comment down below. Let me know something. I can use any advice I can get. Let's see some upsets. Let's see some violence. And let's see some profits. Good luck, everyone.